Hey there guys, Enzo here, team driver for Team Associated, and today I want to do an initial impressions to the Team Associated B74.2. So last weekend I ended up making it out to my home track, the track in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and I was able to run the new four-wheel drive for the first time, and definitely very impressed with how it drove. So let's go ahead and take the body off of the car and we'll start to get into the parts that I used, electronics used, and start talking about some of the new changes with the new Team Associated B74.2. All right, now that the body is off, we can go ahead and get started into some of the new parts and changes for the new platform, along with talking about some of the components that I used to build my car. So body is off, but in regards to the body, this is the same body that comes with the car and that comes with the B74.1. So for all you guys that have custom paint work or any bodies that you guys had from your .1, no need to panic. The .1 body will fit on the .2. All you have to do is you have to trim it off a little bit. I did have to cut the front of the nose area flat, and the back area of the body as well just has to be cut flush, so it makes clearance for the front and the rear bulkhead. So well, I guess we'll start from the front. So right off the rip, some of the changes from the new car and the new platform are obviously the 13mm shocks. These are matched from the B6.4, which are the same shocks as the Associated two-wheel drive. So they just went ahead and did the same thing for the four-wheel. So now you have 13mm shocks that will share the same shock springs as the B6.4 and 6.4D. So 13mm shocks are one of the changes. Also, biggest one for the front of the car is the new gull wing front tower, along with the gull wing front arms. Not sure if you can see that, but now instead of having a flat arm versus the old car, just how I spoke about in my unboxing video, you do have a gull wing front arm. So that is new for the B74.2. On my personal car, I opted to build my car with the carbon front arms. So I will go ahead and put the part down to that. Working down the center of the car, before we leave the very front actually, there is also another new change, which is the front bulkheads and the rear bulkhead. So before on the .1, we had aluminum uprights, kind of, beefy aluminum pieces, very heavy, whereas now with the new .2, they went ahead and went to a molded front and rear gearbox. For my four-wheel drive, like I said, we went with the carbon front arms. We also went with carbon side rails to stiffen up the side of the car. Furthermore, I went with the carbon center chassis braces, and then the kit comes with the G2 carbon ones. I went ahead and put on the carbon fiber center chassis braces, chassis supports, front and rear. So that's something that I did, just again to stiffen up the car a little bit more, and to take away a little bit of flex up from it, as I did with my old car. So again, we'll go over the front and the back hard parts that I've used so far. Carbon front arms, carbon side rails. I personally use the carbon center stiffeners, which are these plastic pieces that the side rail, that the top braces bolt to, and then the carbon fiber top braces themselves. So that is for the front and the center of the car. Working towards the back of the car again, the molded diff cases are new for the .2. The nice thing is that the entire rear end of the car is the same exact geometry and including the same rear arms as the .1. So these are .1 rear carbon A-arms. So that's the last of the carbon parts that I run on my car. In terms of any other changes, that's really the big majority. For the battery strap, this is very nice, something that I'm really happy that they did. They went to an O-ring style battery strap where you stretch it over and it clamps here and there, and there's no need to tape the battery in. On the old car, the majority of the team guys, myself, and a lot of the other guys did all run the battery taped to the chassis. It allowed the car to flex around a little bit more in this part of the chassis and keep it a little bit more even left to right without having to run that center carbon fiber strap that was pushing the battery into the car and stiffening up that part of the car. So now with an O-ring mount, the battery will move and flex around with the chassis, keeps things even left to right. And then the nice thing is if you have more than one battery, you can always pop the O-ring, put a freshly charged battery in, and go right back out there. So there's no need to force yourself to have to wait for the battery to charge if you have more than one battery. So that's pretty nice to have as well. Also, one change that I almost forgot to mention, with all three gear differentials in the B74.2D and the regular carpet car, you do have the new LTC gear sets. These LTC gear sets, from a little bit of the reading I did and a few of the questions that I asked, the pitch in the gear is a little bit finer machined. It's supposed to be a little bit more of an efficient diff, allows the car to rotate a little bit more freely in the middle of the corner and also be a little bit more stable on power, which I can attest to that. The car was definitely more stable in the middle, had more rotation in the middle, and on exit was a lot more drivable than the old car. Sometimes on some of the high grip surfaces that we would run on, the old car was very typical to where as soon as you would apex and shoot out of the corner, it had a little bit of a squiggle or a squirm coming out of the corner. So this car definitely does not do that. It tracks clean, very stable, kind of just squats down under power and tracks clean. So big improvement there is for sure. Again, it was an awesome car to drive. I did build the car 100% with the same exact setup as my old car, with the exception of the shocks. I matched the piston package that I run in my two-wheel drive, that I've been running in my two-wheel drive for a while now, which is across the board. For two-wheel and four-wheel, I run the 2mm thick pistons, which are a 2-hole 1.7, 2-hole 1.8, with a 1.0 bleeder hole drilled to the rear piston with 37.5, 32.5 kit springs. So that would be a V2 yellow, V2 blue. For the two-wheel drive, I do the same exact piston package with the exception of oil being 32.5, 30 at a V2 blue, V2 blue. So that's what I run for the two-wheel drive. But that's what I've started with on my four-wheel. Kind of gets the same oil as I used to run on the old car. Have to do a little bit more testing with the new shocks, make sure that the oil and the dampening suits the way the car drives. We definitely don't want it to be too soft or too stiff, so might have to play around a little bit more with that. So yeah, so now let's go ahead and go over some of the electronics that I used for my build. All right, so now we're going to go over the electronics used in my B74.2. So starting off with the speed control. Also, one thing that I did forget to add when we were going over the hop-ups used, I did also use the factory team carbon fiber ESC shelf. So I just wanted to point that out as well. But anyways, to the speed control. So this is the much more racing Fleta Pro V2, same old faithful that I've run for about 2 or 3 years now. Actually more than that, closer to 3 or 4 now. Super reliable, very smooth. I run nothing but mod, so it's very crucial to have smooth power, smooth brakes, have that adjustability from track to track, and the much more stuff's been really good to me. So that's the Fleta Pro V2, and then I have it paired with the Fleta ZX V2 6.5 turn. Again, super reliable motor, mod being as abusive as it can be on motors and equipment with the surfaces that we run on. The much more stuff's been bulletproof, so really nice there. I am using a much more fan. This is their aluminum case 30mm fan. I do believe it is ball bearing as well, so very reliable. It's pretty durable. This is the same fan that I've used for over a season now in my old car, so it's been pretty reliable. No need to change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So have it in the new car as well. Going over to the servo, this is a brushless full-size 8-scale servo. This is a Reedy RS300 5A. This is a high torque, high speed, all aluminum case. Again, I like running a full-size servo and four-wheel drive just to get a little bit more weight towards the front of the car. Some guys do like running a low profile and four-wheel, kind of just preference, but this is the servo that I opted to use. As for the receiver, unfortunately, these are discontinued, but I still run them. Again, they work fine, and I've been using them for a while now, which are the much more MRX 482 receiver, which is Sanwa compatible and can also do SSR for the high-speed steering response. So that's the servo I use. Simple MyLapse transponder 2-wire wrapped in some carbon vinyl just to hide it a little bit. And then as far as the battery, this is the much more Impact Ultra LCG 4200 shorty pack. This is about, I would say, the same size as a 1-cell, so it's one of those very short, low-profile 2-cell shorties in a 1-cell case. We did a lot of testing on the battery. In four-wheel drive, we've tried bigger batteries, more full-size cases. I've tried the 4500 LCG pack that I run in my B6.4, and that's good, and it works great. It does give you, obviously, a little bit more runtime, but just having a little bit taller of a case, believe it or not, it is very sensitive in four-wheel drive. Personally, for my driving style, I really like how direct and how flat it drives with the LCG battery. For those of you that run stock, might not be a bad idea to consider running a bigger battery, possibly to the capacity, and having less fade off during a longer run, but that's something you'll have to experiment with. So again, that's everything that I chose for the electronics. I wanted to go ahead and make a video and initial impressions of the car. Definitely a huge improvement. The driving, the whole experience, the fit and finish is a lot better on the new car. Very happy with what Team Associated and the guys over at Area 51 Design did with the new car. So definitely pumped to continue to learn the platform. Very excited to continue running it this winter and trying to get it better, and also getting it dialed in for more of the big races that we're going to be going to. So again, I look forward to sharing more info on the car with everyone. I'll also be trying to get some running footage of the new car along with the new two-wheel drive on our updated layout at the track. And yeah, we'll definitely be having some fun. So thanks again, everyone, for watching, and we will get with you guys on the next one. Take care.